365, and I'm coming to y'all with a late night video about my journey from CLC to ibclC. This video was a request from some of my awesome subscribers, so let's dive a little bit deeper into my personal journey. I started off as a registered nurse working in the field of labor and delivery. Absolutely loved that, but I realized that I was getting warmer to what I wanted to do, but I wasn't quite where I wanted to be. One day I'm on the floor and I see this amazing lactation consultant come over and help a mom with breastfeeding. And from that point forward, I knew, boom, that's it. That's exactly what I want to do. It was just beautiful to watch the interaction that they all had together. And I had never seen that before because the lactation girls that worked at my job, they were mostly on the mother-baby side, and I was a labor nurse. But that particular day, I think we had a patient who was just in her room for an extended stay. Maybe there wasn't a room available for her yet on Mother Baby, but that sent me down the path. And so I started doing research, and I spoke to one of the lactation consultants at my job, which is something I would recommend anybody that is a nurse and that's already on the labor floor or postpartum floor to do. If you are in that field and you're close to people who are doing what you want to do, definitely use your resources. Ask them about their role. Do they like it? How did they get into it? So I went and I spoke to one of the girls, and she was very helpful. And she recommended that I become a CLC before I went for my ibclC. She said it's a good way to get there because it'll give you some of the credits that you need in order to be eligible to take the ibclC exam. So a CLC stands for a Certified Lactation Counselor. And when you have the certification, you're qualified to help moms with basic breastfeeding issues. You're not a ibclC, which is an International Board Certified Lactation Consultant, but you are able to help moms with general breastfeeding issues. If a mom has something more in depth going on, let's say she has a history of breast surgery, or just there's an issue deeper than helping mom with positioning and maybe just really mild lactation difficulties, then you would refer that mom to a ibclC who has a deeper understanding of the anatomy and physiology of the body and how everything works to really help dive to the root of the problem if mom is having more challenges than usual. So anyways, I went and I did my research to find out about the CLC training, and there was one going on in Ohio. Now, I'm from Florida, but I happened to have a week lined up where I was off of work. So I just decided to go to Ohio, fly to Ohio, because the training was on that week that I was off of work. So I fly to Ohio, I stay there for a week, and I go through this CLC training, and it was amazing. The woman who was leading the class, leading the lecture, she was fantastic. She was so full of knowledge, and I was very blown away that as a labor nurse, there was so much that I didn't know. And that's one of the issues in our healthcare system, is that nurses are not really routinely trained in lactation. Even doctors don't get a lot of lactation education. And because of that, there's a lot of miseducation that happens in the field of healthcare, but that's a whole nother story. So I was a sponge there. I soaked in everything that I could, and it gave me a really great base to get started studying for the ibclC exam because I knew that was the direction that I wanted to go to. Ultimately, I was just using this as a stepping stone. So now I believe the CLC training is offered online only. I did a quick little research before I did this video, and I didn't see the in-person ones like I went to, which was so special at that time, but that was pre-COVID. So a lot has changed. But they give you you get a certain amount of lactation specific education when you go through that program. So at the time, it gave me half of the credits that I needed in order to sit for my IBCLC exam. I think it was one of the requirements for the IBCLC exam was for me to have 90 or 95 lactation specific credits. And me going through the CLC training gave me 45. So that was a plus. So I also just got a better understanding of breastfeeding. And so I learned so much. And as I was studying for my IBCLC exam, everything wasn't so foreign because I had gotten like a crash course in this material. Excuse me. I had gotten a crash course in this material from the training. If y'all would like me to make a video on how much the course cost me and how much it cost me in total to become an IBCLC, I will do that. Just let me know down in the comments below. It was kind of a little pretty penny, but it was worth every single cent because I absolutely love, 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 love what I do. So at the end of the CLC training, you take a test, and when you pass that test, you are now a certified lactation counselor and you can help moms. There are some lactation consultants who work and some counselors who work in the hospital. They work in birthing centers. Some of them work for programs like WIC, which stands for Women, Infants, and Children. Depending on the state that you live in, some hospitals require their lactation consultants to be IBCLCs. I'm in Florida, so most of the hospitals here do require their lactation consultants to be IBCLCs, but it's not that way everywhere because when I was in Ohio, some of the girls were going to be working in the hospital. So it just do your research on the area where you live and what the requirements seem to be for that area. Now, once I got that certification, I started studying my butt off for the IBCLC exam. And I believe they offer the exam twice a year. There are a few different pathways that you can choose. Pathway 1, Pathway 2, or Pathway 3. Now, I can only speak to Pathway 1 because that is the one that I went through. Pathway 1 is the road that you would go through if you are already a healthcare professional. So one of the requirements to become IBCLC is that you take, I believe it's an anatomy and physiology course, and there may be like a health sciences course you would need to take. But because I have already taken those courses in my profession, I did not have to repeat that. I believe you have to have taken those courses within a certain amount of time. And any of the lactation education that you are doing and that you are getting, like the credits, they have to be within a certain range. So if you took a lactation course and you got a credit, but it was 10 years ago when you took that course, they won't necessarily accept it. I think everything that you did had to be within 5 years. And probably just because they want you to have gotten the most recent, most up-to-date information. So, yeah, I started studying like crazy. I ordered a textbook from Amazon that was about like a prep book for the exam. There was another nurse that I knew who was going for the exam, and we used to study together. And there's not necessarily a course that you take to become an IBCLC. You don't have to become a CLC first before you transition into IBCLC. But when you go on the website, there's like a list that you can download with a bunch of topics on there that you need to be familiar with before you sit for your exam. Because when you have the exam, any of these topics could be on there. In my opinion, the exam was not horrible. It wasn't like, there weren't trick questions on there to me, but if you were not prepared, if you did not study, you're not going to pass. It's not something that you can wing. You really, really have to put the work into it. I know someone who did not pass the first time, and they're IBCLC today, and they're smart and they're capable and they can do it. It's just they didn't quite get it that first time around. So if you don't pass the first time around, don't beat yourself up. Just go back to the drawing board, keep studying, and come back at it because you've already invested your time and your money. So yes, if this is something you are being called to do, just get back up and do it again. I actually, going on a little bit of a tangent, but when I first became a nurse, I didn't pass my nursing exam on the first try. So there's no shame if you have to take it again, but just do the best that you can, study, be calm, and we're just going to put it out there that you'll only have to take the exam one time because it does cost money to take the exam. So hopefully you only have to take it once. And again, I can make a video about like the cost of everything if y'all would like for me to. So IBCLCs, they work in hospital settings as well. They work in birthing centers. Some of them do private practice. I am a virtual lactation consultant. I also work in the hospital setting too. And there are some that come to people's homes. There are some like outpatient lactation centers. There's a variety of different things that you can do in this field. If you are interested in becoming a lactation consultant, I would definitely say you need patience because breastfeeding, it is natural. It is as natural as it gets. We've been doing it for thousands of years, but it's also a learned skill and it can take time and practice, and it is connected to our heart center. A lot of emotions can come out when it comes to breastfeeding. Emotions connected to feelings of worthiness. Am I enough? If you're having challenges, it can really be, it can weigh hard on a lot of mommies. And so it's important that you are compassionate and that you're able to put yourself in another woman's shoes and empathize with what she may be going through, whether it's wonderful or whether it's a little challenging. You have to be able to think outside of the box because sometimes if there's an issue, you may think it's one thing, but when you really get down to the nitty gritty, it's something completely different. And you have to look at the person's history and really try and dissect what is going on here specifically. And you just have to have a heart. You have to have a heart for mothers, for babies. It's beautiful, beautiful work. It's sacred work. It's healing work in every single way. It is very rewarding, and I think it's worth it 10,000 times over if it's something that you're feeling called to. It's not for everyone. So anybody who wants to get into this field, I would recommend you do your research, talk to a lactation consultant, maybe shadow somebody if you're able to. I do have a service on my website if you want to chat with me, pick my brain a little bit about my journey and what pathway you can go down to become a lactation consultant. You can book that service on my website and we can talk for 30 minutes and I will give you everything that I know to help you on your journey. If you want to know what books I purchased, what the name of the CLC program was that I went through, we can go over all that information. But anyways, I don't want this video to be too long. I meant for it to be super short, but I've been going on for a little while now. I hope that you found this helpful, and I'm excited for any of y'all who are going to be joining me in this lactation sisterhood, and for any mommies who are just checking this video out. I will be back to making content about breastfeeding specifically and things related to breastfeeding next week, Monday. So I will see you then. If you like this video, go ahead and give me a thumbs up and subscribe. And let me know, please let me know if there are any topics that y'all want me to cover and things related to breastfeeding, anything related to pregnancy even, or postpartum. I'm also a doula and I've worked in labor and delivery. I've been in this field for years and everything is connected. Breastfeeding is not separate from pregnancy or birth. All of it is tied together. And that's why I talk about everything when it comes to this field. All right, y'all, have a wonderful night, and I will see you next week.